Welcome back to another live feed on Shopman's YouTube channel. Let's get into it. Aliens. 40 years ago, this movie came out. 40 years ago, back on July 14th, 1986. It's very successful on an $18.5 million budget. Um, it won an Academy Award. I think it won an award. Was up for Academy Awards. Should have. I think they won. It looks like for best visual effects. Hugo Award for best dramatic presentation. James Cameron directed this film. So let's get into it. Sigourney Weaver, Michael Biehn, Carrie Henn, Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton. The plot was Ripley, after 57 years in hypersleep, is sent back to LV-426, where she and a team of Marines battle a massive infestation of aliens, find this young survivor named Newt. The genre shift moves from the first film's horror to a sci-fi action war film, influenced by Vietnam allegories. The critical reception in this film is that it's considered a masterpiece of the action and sci-fi genres. Praised for its character development, intense action, and strong female protagonists. Nominated for 7 Academy Awards, winning for sound effects, editing, visual effects, it won multiple Saturn Awards. So this was a sequel to Alien, 1979. Sigourney Weaver played Ellen Ripley, returns to the planet LV-426 with a squad of colonial race to confront a hive of hostile xenomorphs after contact with the human colony is lost. The film shifts from the original's horror to action adventure tone, introducing the alien queen, spanning the mythology, and is quickly acclaimed as one of the best sequels ever made. Let's dig deep into this. Now, this is a sequel to Alien, 1979. Yeah. Sigourney Weaver was actually in this film back in '79, so she's not a stranger to this movie. Sigourney Weaver was in this movie in '79. So this movie was released in 1986, so next month will mark the 40th anniversary, July 18th, that this movie was released in the United States and United Kingdom. $18.5 million budget, did great box office, 131.1 to 183.3 million. Despite the success of Alien, its sequel took years to develop due to lawsuits and lack of enthusiasm from 20th Century Fox, repeated management changes. So Cameron was hired to write a story for Aliens in 1983 on the strength of his scripts for The Terminator, Rambo First Blood Part 2. The project stalled again until new Fox executive Lawrence Gordon pursued a sequel. So on approximately an $18.5 million budget, Aliens began principal photography in September of 1985, concluding in January 1986. And the film's development was tumultuous and rife with conflicts between Cameron and the British crew at Pinewood Studios. The difficult shoot affected the composer, James Horner, who was given a little time to record the music. Aliens was released on July 18th, 1986 to critical acclaim. Reviewers praised its action, but some criticized the intensity of certain scenes. Weaver, Weaver's performance was heralded consistent praise along with those of Bill Paxton and Jeanette Goldstein. The film received several awards and nominations, included an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress for Weaver at a time when the science fiction genre was generally overlooked. So it earned 131.1 to 183.3 million during its theatrical run, making it one of the highest grossing films of 1986 worldwide. Aliens is now considered one of the greatest films of the 1980s, among the best science fiction action sequel films ever made, often deemed equal to or better than Alien. It is credited with expanding the franchise's scope in addition to the series' backstory. Factors such as colonial marines inspired a variety of merchandise, including video games, comic books, and toys. It followed 2 sequels like Alien 3 in 1992, Alien Resurrection 1997, the prequel film Alien Romulus 2024, and last year a TV series called alien Earth. So the influence from this movie continue to have effect of its own, continue to expand in different ways. Yep. For its production of this movie, the success of Alien led to immediate discussion of a sequel, but the production company Brandywine Productions struggled to convince 20th Century to make it. Fox executives believed that Alien's success was a fluke that had not generated enough profit or audience interest to warrant a sequel. Box office returns for horror films were also declining. Then says Fox had declared Alien a financial loss despite its earnings of 100 million against a 9 to 11 million budget. So a lawsuit by Brandywine was set up by early 1983, the result of being that Fox would finance the development of Alien 2, but not required to distribute the film. So the revival came about by July 1984. Lawrence Gordon had replaced Wiseman. A few projects in development, Gordon looked at sequels at Fox's existing properties and came across the Aliens 2 treatment. He said he was surprised that no one had pursued it. Productions of the Terminator was delayed for 9 months because Arnold Schwarzenegger was contractually obligated to film Conan the Destroyer. The script was better received by Fox executives and Gordon, but Cameron also wanted to direct the project. Cameron turned in the script in February 1985, hours before Hollywood's writers' strike. Cameron recalled the audience reactions while seeing Alien in Australia and believed it would be difficult to recreate the emotion and LT of the original. The film script was well received, but executives from Fox were concerned about the budget. Fox estimated the cost as close to 35 million, but Herb said it would be close to 15.5 million. They would offer the 12 million, prompting Cameron and Herb to quit. Gordon negotiated with Dillard until he relented. Cameron and Herb returned. In April 1985, conflict turns to the cast. Fox did not want Weaver to return because they expected her to demand a high salary. Cameron and Herb were insistent, and Weaver returned. As a solo star, Fox refused, saying they would damage the studio's negotiating power with Weaver's agent. Cameron and Herb again left the project magnet and going on a honeymoon, so when they returned, the Aliens project was ready to move forward, and Cameron credited Gordon with Aliens being greenlit. Yep. I'm getting all the details, but it's a big movie, man. As far as the filming of the movie, principal photography began in September 1985, a 75-day schedule on an $18.5 million budget, not including film prints and marketing. The filming took place mainly in Buckinghamshire and Pinewood Studios near London because of its large sets and the lower cost of filming in England. Filming was difficult as Cameron, a Canadian, had little familiarity with British film industry traditions such as tea breaks, which interrupted production for up to an hour. Each weekday was frustrating at losing hours of filming every week. Some backdrop of this filming aspect of this movie. I'm gonna give it everything. Okay. Post-production began late April 1986. Now, several scenes were removed from Alien's theatrical release, believed only about her daughter's death and the cocoon Burke begging her for death, stuff like that. Music aspect, score was recorded at Abbey Road Studios with the London Symphony Orchestra. Special effects was developed in May of 1985 with John Richardson supervising a 40-person team at Stan Winston studio. Gives all the details, but that's what's going on. H.R. Geiger who designed the alien creature, was reportedly disappointed that he could not be involved in Aliens. In 1986 summer film season began mid-May. The season had been starting earlier each year as studios attempt to beat each other with their biggest films. 55 films were scheduled for release between May and September, including the action drama Top Gun, comedic Sweet Liberty, but the season was not expected to break financial records due to fewer sequels. Anticipated blockbusters, films by Steven Spielberg, starring popular comedians that had dominated the earlier half of the decade. Some industry experts also blame the burgeoning home video market, which had grown from 7 million rentals in 1983 to 58 million by 1985. Films expected to do well were aimed at younger audiences, such as comedy or horror movies such as Back to School, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Space Camp, and even some films targeted at adults were seen as potential successes like Legal Eagles, Ruthless People, and Cobra. Aliens was seen by industry professionals as a potential sleeper hit based on positive industry word of mouth during filming, enthusiastic industry screenings, and favorable pre-release reviews. The film's success was considered dependent on its ability to attract audiences outside of young males and blue-collar workers typical for the genre. The tagline was, "This time it's war." So this Aliens movie began its wide release in the United States and Canada on July 18th, 1986. During its opening weekend, the film earned 10.1 million from 1,437 theaters, an average of $6,995 per theater. It was the weekend's #1 film, ahead of the martial arts drama The Karate Kid Part 2. And the black comedy Ruthless People. So, based on its opening 5-day total, 13.4 million, Aliens exceeded Fox expectations. It was anticipated to become the summer's top film, surpassing Karate Kid Part 2, Back to School, and Top Gun. The film retained the #1 position in the second weekend with an additional gross of 8.6 million, ahead of the debuting Heartburn and Karate Kid Part 2. Aliens remained the #1 film of its third weekend with a gross of 7.1 million, ahead of the debuts of Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, and Howard the Duck. The film fell to third place in its fifth weekend with a gross of 4.30 million, behind the debuts of The Fly and Armed and Dangerous. Aliens was one of the top 10 highest grossing films for 11 weeks. By the end of its theatrical, Aliens had grossed about 85.1 million after its run. It was the year's 7th highest grossing film, behind Back to School, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, The Karate Kid Part 2, Platoon, Crocodile Dundee, Top Gun. Aliens box office returns to the studio minus the share was 42.5 million. Right, so that's how successful this movie was, man. Received a lot of accolades, received 2 awards, 1987 Academy Awards, Best Sound Effects Editing, and Best Visual Effects, man. Yep. Released on VHS in February 1987. Central theme of the movie Aliens is motherhood. Alien can be seen as a metaphor for childbirth. The aliens focus on Ripley's maternal feelings for Newt. And also, you look at Sigourney Weaver's role and what she was doing is like a masculine thing. Like, she was a woman being like the hero. She was like the female hero of that movie. She was compared to John Rambo, dubbed as Ramboette, Rambet, Fimbo, Ramboline. Weaver called herself Rambolina. But she was like that hero, man, like Sylvester Stallone was in the John Rambo movies. She was like compared to that guy. Because in Aliens, the male characters are neutralized by the climax, and Ripley faces the Queen alone. That's why you see her on the cover of the poster. She's the lead role, so she was like the hero. That was something that was unheard of at that time for a woman to be the hero of a movie like that. So the overuse of male heroes, going to Karen, say he does not like cowardly female characters and moves there, expected protectors to force them to defend for themselves. So he called the overuse of male heroes commercially short-sighted in an industry where audiences 50% female and 80% of the time it's women who decide which film to see. So the growth of female-led action films after the success of Aliens reflects the change in women's roles and divide between professional critics. Always that regardless of gender, embrace, emulate, and quote Ripley. So the hyper masculine heroes played by Schwarzenegger, Stallone, John Claude Van Damme, who replaced by independent women capable of defending themselves, defeating villains in films such as The Silence of the Lambs in '91 and Terminator 2, Judgment Day, stuff like that. And the war and trauma, Vietnam War that was included in this movie, war and trauma. Now the legacy of this movie. It has an enduring influence on filmmaking. So cinematic touchstone elements as a team of soldiers being dismantled by a villain have been repeated to the point of cliche, stuff like that. So it has a great, great legacy that leaves behind with Aliens. It's considered one of the greatest science fiction films ever made, one of the best films of the '80s, one of the greatest action films of all time. So also considered one of the best sequels of all time. So this was a great, great movie, man. I don't think I saw this movie before. Maybe I did, but I do remember this movie at that time, '86. I don't think I went to go see it at the time, but yeah, this was a big time movie, Aliens, 1986. That was year, man. A lot of films, great films came out in '86, man. A lot of great films, abundance of films, man. That was just worth going to see at the time. Go to the theaters, see a blockbuster, and that's what was going on at the time in '86. That's it. So we're done. Y'all get to Game Stars be my last review of something, last live feed of the day. So like, subscribe to the channel. Till then, talk to you soon.